Hi. Plot cancelling IB has been something that has become a pretty integral part of my movement on stages of platforms. But looking at VODs and replays, I noticed that not a lot of players appear to be doing it. Despite it essentially making throwing out IB in neutral to camp or whatever a lot safer, while also moving you on a platform, which seems to activate the monkey genes in a lot of opponents, making them approach you. And approaching monkeys are always great for ICs. By the way, I'll refer to Ice Shot, also known as Neutral B, as IB or simply put Ice Block in this video, because saying IB sounds a lot better than saying IS. First things first though, to clear up a few things, especially because Smash Ultimate Frame Data doesn't have the IB landing lag noted for some reason. IB has a special landing lag of 16 frames before you can act. Combine this with the 19 frames it takes for IB to come out, and the minimum amount of frames it takes for you to throw out an IB is 35 frames, compared to the grounded version, which is 55 frames long. That's a 20 frame improvement. Of course, it isn't new to people that you have less lag if you use IB in the air instead of the ground. But how do we minimize the gap between spawning IB and landing? How do we get to these 35 frames of total move duration? This is where plat cancelling IB comes into play. As you probably know, if you use IB in the air, the climbers halt their aerial movement and do a small hop before falling down again. To plat cancel IB effectively, it is exactly that hop we're exploiting. Because conveniently enough, the actual projectile comes out at the peak of the hop, which means that if you position the climbers in a way that makes them barely reach the platform during the hop, after the projectile gets spawned and the climbers start moving down again, they will have instantly landed, leaving minimal time between the projectile coming out and the climbers entering the IB landing leg. Using the two lower battlefield platforms as a reference, there are two ways to achieve this optimal scenario, or at the very least, get very close to it. The first one is to use IB around the peak of your short hop under the platform. I'm saying around the peak because the optimal spacing would be a few frames before the very peak of the short hop. Because if you use IB at the very peak of your short hop instead of around the peak, you will end up spending a couple of frames landing, wasting 2 to 3 frames instead of instantly landing. However, that isn't a big deal, honestly. I like this variant because it's pretty generous in its timing and pretty hard to fuck up. The other variant is full hop and manually time the IB just right during the full hop startup. In my opinion, that's way harder to fuck up, but you reach the height needed to plat cancel the IB much faster. This tech, if you can even call it that, isn't really hard to do. Even if you opt in for the non-optimized version, you're still saving yourself a lot of frames while also moving on top of a platform. You can also do this by dropping from a platform, waiting a little bit, and then inputting the IB. You can get the perfect spacing like this very consistently if you nail the timing. As mentioned before, I think this entire thing is pretty useful. You can throw out the plat cancelled IB instead of wavelanding on platforms, and you also get the added benefit that knocked back IBs won't hit you given you're on a plat, which allows you to safely force grounded opponents to do something while still being able to act quickly if they threaten you or do something unexpected. You can even just spam more IBs after plat cancelling the initial IB to essentially get out the max amount of IBs, which is 4, in like under a second, and then figure out the rest from there on. I'd recommend giving it a try. It's very easy to use and has some clear benefits. Goodbye.